here I am in an event that's called Soul Sounds. Is that correct? Yeah, Soul Sounds. And just a few minutes ago, people gathered here, and lots of bhajans were being sung, and I should say it almost looked like a jam session in Hindi or jam session in Gujarati. I mean, people getting together and singing and all that. Prinal, tell me a bit about Soul Sounds. Why Soul Sounds? What do you get out of coming here?
I think so. This is the first time that I've been to Soul Sounds. So I'm probably not the best person to give the background to Soul Sounds. I think we've got people here who can. But why I came today was just quite often when you're working full time, you don't really take the time to appreciate your background and appreciate the things that matter to you, the things that you've been brought up with, and the things that kind of make you who you are. Mm-hmm. So I find
What do you mean by that?
So a lot of us, and I'd say a lot of us here, have similar upbringings in that we come from traditional backgrounds. So regardless of the fact that we all work in the city or we have full-time jobs or whatever, we're still quite close to our background. It still means a lot to us.
Yeah.
So events like this are good because they give us a chance to put those into practice. When during the week you may not necessarily get a chance to. So.
Okay. You've come here before, right? This is not your first time, or is it?
I've been here. I've came to the first one a few years ago, and when it first started, it was literally 6 or 7 people. But month by month, it's been growing. Not just people coming from North London, but all across London, and news is spread to Leicester, Birmingham as well. So whenever people are down in London, they always do make an effort to come. And
why do you come?
I come, it's a great way to meet people, to meet friends, and as Prinal said, it's an opportunity. We lead such busy lives in the city and with work and studies, to come here and just for 2-3 hours just to pray and just give something back to God and to reconnect with our...
And do you necessarily need to be religious to do this, to take part?
Not at all. It's open to people of all backgrounds, and you don't have to be religious at all. It's more of it's very, very open, inclusive, and it's we all learn every time we come here.
Okay. Tell me a bit about this whole cultural aspect of it, and a lot of people say that this is about connecting with our roots and all of that. Is it hard to sort of kind of growing up here and living here to reconnect with Indian roots, with your culture?
I mean, this is the first time I'm coming to Soul Sounds. Yeah. I really enjoyed the experience. I've never really had the opportunity to sing bhajans, and I'm really interested in learning more bhajans and understanding the stories behind bhajans. So living here, it is a bit difficult to fit the time in to put the effort in to go and learn bhajans, but I think this is a very good opportunity for all the youngsters here to learn.
And tell me, what about yourself? What do you get out of singing bhajans? And because these are religious songs, and it's counterintuitive for a lot of people who when I sort of talk about this event to a lot of people, they're like, oh really? Kind of people get together and sing bhajans? Wow, that's was it surprising when you heard of it for the first time?
I mean, I wouldn't say it was surprising. I mean, my family are not super religious, but we do have our pujas and things at home. So I've always sang bhajans and things when I'm at home, whereas this is kind of a forum where all the youngsters can get together and really enjoy the music. Adults come as well, so everyone just gets together. But because the youngsters are so involved, we almost, we can take a front role in terms of singing and kind of lead the events, and that's quite nice because normally it's the elder generations that would do that, whereas this is a chance for us to just really enjoy ourselves. And
this is very much led by younger people, isn't it? The general perception whenever I talk to people is that they must be BBCDs, British born, confused they say. Tell me, I mean, have you heard that tag before, and then what do you make of it?
I've never been called that, but yes, I have heard the tag.
But why do you think that perception is the way it is?
I guess it's because it's trying to make that home away from home. So we're not in India, we're not, close to where the root of our culture is. So obviously, you know, we're trying to balance everything, as he said, kind of integrating the British culture, living the British life, but still having some connections to our roots.
That kind of duality to the whole thing, right? Yeah. Well, what about you? I mean, do you think have you been called the BBCD before? What do you make of the term?
I haven't been called that. So thankfully, I haven't been called that before. But I have heard it, and I think where that term's come from. So for me personally, is the difference in how people put their faith into practice. So I know for my parents' generation, when they came here, a lot of it was about sticking to the same practices.
Yeah.
So it was, you know, doing the same things that they used to do before to make sure that they didn't feel completely lost. Whereas I think for us now, we've not been through a period of instability. We've been born and brought up here. So for us, it's generally stable. So I think the focus now has moved for us from just merely practicing things to actually understanding them and connecting with them more deeply. So I think that's why older people...
But there are a lot of, I mean, you know, while there is a perception, there is a bit of truth as well to that perception, right? I mean, there are lots of other people, younger people who grow up in this country who are slightly kind of conflicted, slightly confused. Is that it?
I think that is the case, yes. But then I think you could say that for the youth in India who have it all around them. It's youth everywhere. It's not necessarily a locational thing. And I think the reason why other people might see how we, you know, practice our faith here as confused is because it's different to how other people do it. But it's not a rigid structure. You know, you can practice it in any way as long as you connect with it. So.
In defense of the BBCDs, absolutely, absolutely, that's true. But what about you? What do you make of this? I mean, is this, like how Prinal says, this is not confused? I mean, you know, this is the new normal, you know, for people looking at it from a different perspective. What do you make of it?
I mean, I think every one of us go through a confusion period at some point, but over time, where you need to put some time into it, and then it's like your life. You learn it step by step. So it really depends on the person's making some time for it, and then actually slowly increasing their belief in it. So yeah, for me, it's a journey.
So real spiritual and spiritual answer there. Tell me, what's that one bhajan you're going to sing for us? And I understand y'all are great singers as well. So y'all are all going to join in. Yeah, you do try. So tell me, what verse are you going to sing for us?
We're going to sing the Guru Ashtakam.
Okay. Do you want to count to 1, 2, and 3? Yeah. So 1, 2, and 3.
Guru hi Brahma, Guru hi Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwara, Guru Sakshat
Here I am in an event that's called Soul Sounds. Is that correct? Yeah, Soul Sounds. And just a few minutes ago, people gathered here, and lots of bhajans were being sung. And I should say, it almost looked like a jam session in Hindi or jam session in Gujarati. I mean, people getting together and singing, and everyone knows that in this country especially, there are many people who are sort of losing their faith and all of that. Reflect for me about sort of that in that context. Obviously being and reconnecting with being Hindu is obviously that much more difficult. Reflect for me a bit about that.
I think from my point of view, and certainly the point of view of the people that I've interacted with, is that people don't necessarily lose their faith. It's more that it just doesn't play as much of a role in their life because around them are so many other different influences, the working life. The lifestyle here is different to what it may have been a few years ago. So I think it's not so much losing it, it's more finding the time to fit it in and realizing where it does apply and where it doesn't.
Yeah.
So I think it's with that in mind that I think a lot of the young people come here because like you say, that there's to be in a forum with other young people who are having who are in the same boat as you in terms of trying to fit everything in. It makes it much easier because you don't feel as out of place. You feel we're all kind of born and brought up here. We all have the same backgrounds. We're all trying to balance the same things, and it just makes it easier to interact with those people.
How hard is it sort of being able to practice being Hindu and stay in touch with culture and religion and all of that? Is it hard?
I don't think it's hard at all. No, I think the problem with a lot of people is generally just seeing how you can fit it in. It's not so much it's hard to fit it in. It's just where it applies and where it's relevant.
Okay.
And if you view it in that way, if you view it as we come from a background that's very understanding, that's very, it's very accepting, we're not kind of overly restricted in loads of different ways. So as soon as you realize that there isn't necessarily a conflict between your background and what you do every day, then it becomes a lot easier.
Is it sort of hard to keep in touch with sort of being Hindu and being religious? What about you?
I think it varies depending on the person, the background, the sort of family life that you lead, but it probably is slightly harder here just because the focus is so much on kind of people's working lives, and that keeps us so busy for most of the hours of the day. So it is about making the effort to take out those hours to do this, but having, forums like this, like Soul Sounds, gives us that opportunity to reconnect. And we do have sort of mandirs and things here, so it's all about making the effort, really.
Okay. Well, what about yourself? Is it easy?
It's not easy because work life and other commitments that you have, take a lot of your time. But I feel that we should put more time into this because it is a very relaxing, calming experience.
Very spiritual, right?
Spiritual, yes, very spiritual. So I'm definitely gonna invest more time into this.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll catch up with you a few Sundays later and see if you actually do turn up. Also, I want to talk to you a bit about how do your parents respond when you tell them about this? Because you mentioned you spoke about parents earlier. I mean, are they sort of thrilled to bits? Tell me a bit about that.
Yes, they are thrilled, and I think there's a perception that British-born Indians are uncultured, they don't know anything about their religion or culture. But as you've seen from today, this is organised by young Hindus for young Hindus, and so our older generation are very proud to see us. And often when we go home, we teach them stuff, our parents and our grandparents, because I think because we've got that cross identity, we have that opportunity to learn more. And I think this new generation of British-born Indians, we're all proud to be Hindu and we're all proud to be British as well.